This explains World War I, World War II, World War III, Bali bombing in 2001, and 9/11/2001 from the top. In the beginning, Buddha was actually an original man of God. This is what they said inside Buddha's Bible. He was an original testament like Jesus. Anyway, he happened to have done a very horrendously good deed as it is. He surrendered his great fortune as it is. He gave up his kingdom to chase into poverty, to seek for spiritual enlightenment, into being a well-poverty-stricken man of his own day and time. Anyway, that is a load of bullshit. That's the biggest bullshit of the page. Let's rewrite the page and let's say, maybe Buddha's page is actually a load of bullshit. Let's actually re-summarize the page. Because the page is actually misled. Because if it's being misled and misdirected, let's go back over the real truth. And let's add up the page again. And please remember about the Great Wall of China. And please remember about the wars from the Mongols on the one side of the fence. And please remember also as well about the other side of the fence, about the internal camp of the Buddha's camp and Buddha's tribe. And please keep an eye on what's going on. Buddha happened to have actually had a massive fight inside his camp as it is. And what happened was that Buddha happened to have said to his doctors, he's saying, could you please make me a medicine so it could actually be put inside the food? To poison down the food the right way is to dumb down my people the right way, so my people will be dumbed down and they will not be so incapacitated. But the thing is, this is actually to bring a peace treaty amongst the food that's actually in the tribe. Anyway, the doctors came back and actually suggested to Buddha that they want to put LSD in one of the products. So they said, why don't you put it inside the wine and also in the alcoholic beverages? So the alcoholic beverages was actually the most famous choice. So that's what happened. Anyway, so LSD was put inside the alcoholic beverages because they seemed to have liked it the most. After that point of reference, there was a lot of vomiting going on, and a lot of deliriousness and a lot of bad behaviour and things like that too, to go to boot. Buddha was actually really angry and upset by this point of reference. And he says, well, you have created a bunch of drunken louts, and undoubtedly it hasn't resolved this particular dispute about this violence in the kingdom, as only just made it even worse. Later on, Buddha turned to his doctors and his scientists to come up with a medicine that will actually resolve this particular dispute. Later on, they came up with a drug called statin medication, and it caused the worst amnesial virus that's ever been known to date. And Buddha was so concerned because of this problem, he was seeking out for a cure. But the thing is, when this happened, Buddha became subdued by his own doctors.
Side effect of statin use. Another side effect of statin use is memory issues. This is an uncommon side effect, and there can be some reduced memory or memory loss with statin use.
Later on, Buddha turned to his doctors and his scientists to come up with a medicine that will actually resolve this particular dispute. Later on, they came up with a drug called statin medication, and it caused the worst amnesial virus that's ever been known to date. And Buddha was so concerned because of this problem, he was seeking out for a cure. But the thing is, when this happened, Buddha became subdued by his own doctors. Buddha was really concerned about this point of reference here, about what the doctors had loosed in his kingdom, about this devastating illness. And so this is actually the worst of what happened. And the thing is, Buddha became subdued by his own doctors, and because he became subdued, he was actually forced to take whatever the cure was the doctors actually dreamed up. In essence, this is actually his fate.
Side effect of statin use. Another side effect of statin use is memory issues. This is an uncommon side effect, and there can be some reduced memory or memory loss with statin use.
Buddha ordered the doctors to make a cure against this illness, and so the doctors issued Buddha the statin medication as what's seen on screen. Now you've seen the information up there in full detail, so this is actually what I have to report and make public. Now, the American troops come back to go to China again, and so the American troops go to China with the American president. And so now they greet the Chinese embassy and they sign the Chinese declarations. They go over to America later on, and these are actually Chinese doctors that are claimed to be the King Sultans of China. And they go back to America to serve up the delicacies of what the Chinese embassy have got behind them.
Side effect of statin use. Another side effect of statin use is memory issues. This is an uncommon side effect, and there can be some reduced memory or memory loss with statin use.
And now the delicacies have actually upset the generation inside the American population. Now the American population has now been conquered. Now please use logic. How many ways can you conquer a land? And you say you did it through the delicacies of the Chinese embassy. Now they didn't see this one coming, did they? And the American president says, saying, we need a cure. If the American president says, we need a cure, do they actually get poisoned or do they actually just eat the food? One or the other. And so the American president and the American governments were all dumbed down on that day. Question. All of them were dumbed down. And all the American government leaders were all conquered on the same day, in a quotation.
Some issues with cognition with statins.
Please remember, if the plan worked the first time in history, and that was actually the first time it worked, they copied the same blueprint of the original plan, and they conquered again, not just the Chinese kingdom, not just America, but every part of the world to go to boot. So this is what I have to report in my public. Thanks for listening. Bye for now. And this explains World War I. The Chinese people loosed their own attack back on their own people. And this is what I have to explain for World War I. Same thing at 2, what has to be said again in World War I, and World War II, and World War III, and World War IV with Putin. This is what I have to report in my public. Thanks for listening. Bye for now. And this explains World War I, World War II, World War III, Bali bomb in 2001, 9/11/2001, and the war with Putin at this day and time. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.